as has been reported in many news media outlets, that Secretary Kemp has grossly mismanaged the Secretary of State's office. He said he would lead the charge to replace the voting systems, but never did. He allowed critical elections data to be exposed to the internet, and then also that data was destroyed in an erasure of the voting data. We don't even know if anyone actually hacked it. So the question is, even though that was in violation of Secretary of State retention policies, the question is, did taxpayers spend millions of dollars to defend his office? Do you think that his track record qualifies him to be promoted into a higher office?
I would say that Mr. Kemp's record as Secretary of State, as a business owner, and as a legislator demonstrate that he does not deserve a promotion in the state of Georgia. This is someone who has to be held accountable to do his basic jobs. He's been sued by the military for refusing to allow soldiers overseas to cast ballots. He was sued by nonprofit organizations for his failure to process properly thousands of registrations, and a federal judge forced him to restore 34,000 illegally canceled registrations. He accidentally twice released the information of 6 million voters, made them liable for identity theft. And he owes $500,000 to a friend that he conveniently forgets that he owes. I think his record is one that causes great concern to me and to others. I'm running for governor because I have a proven track record of leadership. I have comprehensive plans for the future of Georgia, and I have a record I'm happy to stand on and stand beside. We have to have proven leadership in the state of Georgia that will hold itself accountable and will never have to be taken to court to do its job.
Mr. Metz, do you have a rebuttal?
Yes, Ms. Abrams, you sort of have similar management problems with your own checkbooks. You know, you're carrying a $50,000 IRS debt. You owe $13,000 in business liens for unpaid unemployment insurance contributions. And you carry this debt while making hundreds of thousands of dollars annually and even lending your campaign $50,000. If you can't manage your own finances and pay your own creditors, can you be trusted to manage the state budget?
Given that he invoked me in his rebuttal, if I may respond. I very proudly take care of my parents, my niece, and my grandmother. I know that you can defer your taxes, but you cannot defer cancer treatment payments for your father. I owe taxes to the federal government, and I pay those taxes. I'm on a payment plan, I am current, and I have never walked away from my responsibilities. More than that, every time I have found out that there's a challenge, I've quickly responded. I've never had to be sued to do my job. And so I would say that my responsiveness is proof that I am not only a strong leader, but I have the right priorities. Georgia values that say put family first and take care of all of your obligations. I've never shirked my responsibilities, and I never will.
All of these things they said are not true. I would encourage Georgians to look at the record. We have more voters on the roll than when I took office. I created the process for overseas and military ballots to be delivered electronically. We have made it easier to vote and hard to cheat. And just because Ms. Abrams files a false lawsuit or the New Georgia Project, it doesn't mean it's right, and we defeated that in 2014. Well, Ms. Abrams, as you know, in a recent video, you called on illegals to vote for you in this election. I was actually shocked. I had to watch that video twice. It clearly shows that you were asking for undocumented and documented folks to be part of your winning strategy. So my question is, why are you encouraging people to break the law for you in this election?
Mr. Kemp, you are very aware that I know the laws of Georgia when it comes to voting. In fact, I am one of the foremost experts in the state on expansion of voting rights. And I have never in my life asked for anyone who is not legally eligible to vote to be able to cast a ballot. What I've asked for is that you allow those who are legally eligible to vote to allow them to cast their ballots. And in fact, we took you to court in 2016, and a federal judge said that you illegally canceled 34,000 registrations. You use the exact same system, the exact match system that is under dispute right now. Now, I realize that in the next response, you're going to say that it's a function of my organization because your tendency is to blame everyone else for the mistakes that you make. My responsibility as a leader is to see a problem and try to solve it. When I saw that we had 800,000 unregistered people of color in the state of Georgia, I started an organization that has reached into every county and increased those registrations. When I saw that people were being unlawfully denied the right to vote, I worked to make certain that we held you accountable. And as the next governor of Georgia, I will continue to do my job to make certain that every legally eligible vote that gets cast gets counted.
Ms. Abrams, thank you. Mr. Kemp, would you like to respond?
Well, thankfully, the truth here is very simple. Georgians should simply Google the clip, watch what she says. You'll know that she's talking about this election and talking about illegals voting for her in this election. They filed a lawsuit to do that, which she mentioned. But even the ICE enforcement director under the Obama administration said that she should drop out of this race because of encouraging illegals to vote in this election. That is outrageous. She knows that that is criminal. If you watch the videos yourself, you will see it firsthand.
Mr. Metz, would you like to weigh in here, out of all fairness?
Well, out of all fairness, I would like to say that, Stacey Abrams takes money from donors for the third sector development and the New Georgia project to do a function that essentially anyone else could do, and the people themselves could go online to register to vote. They could get a ride to go and register to vote. Okay, Mr. Kemp, an independent watchdog group has documented over 10 serious ethical concerns against Representative Abrams, and they filed 2 ethics complaints. These include issues such as using campaign resources to sell her books for personal profit, reimbursing herself $84,000 in campaign funds without disclosing where the money went, and inaccurate financial disclosures. Should someone of that ethical qualification really be elected as governor?
Well, I certainly share your concerns on the things that you mentioned. I appreciate that question. I would say what's more concerning is Miss Abrams being a tax attorney, is her not paying her taxes while she took the opportunity to loan her campaign $50,000 instead of doing that. I don't think I could get away with that. I don't think Mr. Metz could get away with that, and the people of Georgia couldn't get away with that. And when you're putting politics over paying the government the taxes you owe, I think that does make you unfit to be governor. And that's why even in tough times, battling through a recession and investing in a tough business deal where the company owes someone some money, my wife and I have always paid our taxes. That's what we do as Georgians, and that's the kind of governor I'll be, that will stand with integrity and the people of this state to honor the good money that they're sending us, to spend it wisely, budget conservatively, to cut taxes in the future, not raise them like Miss Abrams.
Let's give Ms. Abrams a chance to respond.
Once again, my opponents are being very misleading. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina hit my family. My parents lost their church, and they lost most of their income. I stepped up and became their primary source of income. And for the last 15 years, I have taken responsibility for my parents. In 2015 and 2016, my parents faced health challenges, and my father had to have cancer treatment. You can defer tax payment. You cannot defer cancer treatment. You cannot defer responsibility for your family. I never failed to pay my bills. I pay the IRS. We have a
Ms.
payment
Abrams,
plan,
excuse me,
and that
your
is
time
wrong
is
to
up.
say that I'm doing anything else.
Mr. Metz, your rebuttal.
Well, an independent watchdog group and reliable news sources that you can look up have documented at least 10 ethical concerns against you, Mr. Kemp. You used official Secretary of State website and mobile app to promote your campaign website. You reneged on your $700,000 loan and your personal guarantee, and you're being sued over it. And there's probably 13 other lawsuits that you're currently being named in.
I have paid my taxes when they were due, unlike Mrs. Abrams, in some very tough times. The company owes the individual on the loan, not me. I haven't been, that was a company debt, not mine personally. It was an investment I made. I own 8% of that company. After 30 years in business and fighting through the recession, I'm proud of that record. No one has made it easier to vote and harder to cheat in our state. And it's really outrageous that while we're talking about all these voting issues on both of these folks up here, I've actually taken the lead on these issues.
Mr.
We're
Kemp,
having record turnout
thank you.
right now.
You are out of
distraction to take away from Miss Abrams' extreme agenda that she has for a government takeover of health care, wanting to give the Hope Scholarship to those that are here illegally, in many, many other radical positions, having to raise taxes for $13,000 per person in our state to pay for all of this. If you look at the numbers, minority participation in Georgia is up 23%. We have 1 million more people on our voter rolls today than we had when I took office. We've had record turnouts in our last presidential election, and we're having record turnouts right now. And this farce about voter suppression and people being held up from being on the rolls and being able to vote is absolutely not true. Anyone who meets the requirements that's on the pending list, all they have to do is do the same thing that you and I at home have to do. Go to your polling location show your government ID, and you can vote.
You represent the Libertarian Party. You're polling far behind your two frontrunners here. Does the issue of possible voter suppression strike a nerve with you? And would you go as far as justifying the concerns of a lot of people out there that this race is being rigged?
I feel as if it's much ado about nothing. The real issue here is if you look at the voter turnout for past elections, less than 60% of the voters ever actually turn out. The most recent Pew nationwide survey showed that 40% of people identified as independents, less than 30% of people identified as Republicans, and less than 30% identified as Democrats. The problem is that we don't have a third voice in government for independents to actually listen to and to vote for. So the whole thing about the voter suppression, this and that, you know, they're trying to pull us apart and vote for one of the two teams. There are more people that are more interested in hearing a third voice than voting for Team Red or Team Blue. So again, I don't think it's as large of an issue as it's being blown up to be.
Well, I want to thank Georgians for tuning in and listening to this conversation. There's a lot of disagreement about who we are, but there is no disagreement in my mind about where we need to go. This is a state that needs to move forward, that needs to recognize that we all deserve to live in a place where everyone has the freedom and the opportunity to thrive. I'm the only candidate not only with a strong record of bipartisan leadership, but with clear, comprehensive, specific plans about what we do next. Educating our children from cradle to career, investing in our small businesses, especially those that can't access bank loans, making sure that we are creating new jobs through advanced energy, that we're strengthening our agricultural sector and our hospitality sector, but that we're bringing new jobs, that we are supporting our local law enforcement by making sure that those who are protecting us with their lives can put food on their tables. And we have to expand Medicaid. That's creating 500,000 new jobs. That's putting money into communities. I've learned the values of family, faith, service, and responsibility from my parents, and those are the values I will take when I lead Georgia, and I humbly ask for your vote.
Ms. Abrams, thank you so much. Ted Metz, please give us your closing statement.
Thank you. I am here before you to ask for your vote. This is going to be a runoff anyway. If you're tired of the two-party system and the two-party tyranny of the oligarchs running the planet, then a vote for me is a protest vote to show them that you're sick and tired of the same old stuff. Basically, being a libertarian is leave me alone, don't tell me what to do, and don't steal my stuff. I'm running to end corruption, also to hold government accountable, and to lower taxes. There's lots of ways to do that by stuffing government back inside of its constitutional constraints. Many people have forgotten that the Constitution is about holding government accountable to a small group of functions, which include an equal playing field, making sure that everyone has equal protection under the law, as well as providing protection for our property and for our happiness. And we don't get that out of government anymore. Government is in everything that we do, and everything that we do has to have permission from government. It's time to stop.
Mr. Metz, thank you. Brian Kipp, it is your turn.
This election is a fight for our future. My opponent has run the most dishonest campaign Georgians have ever seen, and here's why. She's lying about my record to hide her extreme agenda. She wants higher taxes, bigger government, a single-payer, radical government takeover of health care, and those are her moderate positions. She also wants to give taxpayer benefits, welfare, and free college tuition to those here illegally. And she's even asking illegals to vote for her in this race. Not even California is that liberal. But with your vote, you can end this craziness. And as governor, I'll invest in public education and give teachers a raise. I'll cut taxes and lower health care costs. And I'll continue to streamline government, fight for our conservative values, including our Second Amendment, protect the Hope Scholarship, and keep our classrooms safe for our children. This race is about the soul of our future, and I'd be honored to have your vote.
Thank you to all of you.